world has changed. America has changed. If something were to happen tomorrow, how self-sufficient would you be? Could you grow your own food? Could you sustain your own livestock? Could you survive? This is the We Grow Our Show with Nick and Don. Nick and Don talk about everything from politics to planting. They cover techniques, methods, and tips on how to not only survive, but thrive. Visit the website at WeGrowOurs.com. Lock and load. This is the We Grow Our Show. Get your grow on.
Welcome back to the We Grow Our Show. Don Cover, Nick Klein, the Dream Team. If you notice some random sound effects in the background, Don got a new toy. Congratulations.
Thank you. I haven't hooked it up yet. It was my Father's Day gift.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, it's a little iPad mini. I can search the news and stuff while we're doing this and get my facts straight now. And I don't know. I was going to, broadcast live, but Nick's like, I don't want pictures of myself on there.
I don't like it. The camera adds 15 to 30 pounds.
That's impossible.
No?
No.
I'm just fat?
Yeah.
Because the mirror looks good sometimes. And then all of a sudden somebody takes a picture. I'm like, oh my gosh, who's the whale?
There you go. Nice. No, he's not fat. He just doesn't skinny dippy chunky dunks.
That's right. That's one way to be swimming by yourself. Oh gosh. Speaking of inappropriate, so I got called out on Facebook today. By you.
Well, actually, somebody else called you up first.
That's
I just
true. My buddy said some profanities about how I'm being irresponsible with my posts. So
yes, well, you should always research your posts
before
you post them.
I thought that I had done
it. It took me a whole 3 seconds because I had actually had the same post I responded to yesterday, which was Monday. We record on Tuesdays in the Situation Room. So Monday, I replied the exact same way to somebody else. I got laced into a little bit about it too. But it took me a whole minute.
Okay. Well, this is what happened to me. I saw the post that I was like, oh my gosh, did he really freaking say that? And so I looked it up. I went to that spot and I went to 2 others that had the exact same word for word deal. And there were 3 different websites. So I thought, holy cow, this is real. Well, I jumped the gun, freaked out, posted and said, oh my gosh, he's gonna be in charge of the New World Order. The Illuminati are coming over the hill. The British are coming, so I had a little premature Paul Revere event. Anyway, so on that note, I've recanted and I actually, should we go into what was said? Can we play the audio of the 2?
That's what I was actually just looking at. I might be able to pull up the audio here if I could pull up your post, but we'll do that in a minute.
Okay. So basically it was the President of the United States, Barack Obama, was addressing the UN, correct?
Yeah, he was actually giving a speech out in Europe.
Okay.
I'm going to see. I do have it. So hold on a second. All right. Here's the clip. Let me see if I can get it in here.
And for the international order that we have worked for generations to build. Ordinary men and women are too small-minded to govern their own affairs. That order and progress can only come when individuals surrender their rights to an all-powerful sovereign.
That was the end of it.
Yeah. That right there made my blood boil instantly. And I thought, oh my gosh, it's time to start loading rifles and go to Washington.
Well, it is.
Okay.
It's time to do that. In fact, we're going to need, give me, see, I'm turning red. This is why we need video, right?
Okay. Let's not call for the revolution right now, Donnie boy.
I absolutely think we need to, but all right, keep going.
So my point is I got really upset really fast. In fact, I pulled up the clip and I showed my mother-in-law, who usually doesn't get into politics. She got scared and was like, holy cow, what do we do? And it was just a bunch of things. But so I immediately shared it on my wall and said, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? And, then one of my friends this morning, said, hey, dummy, in not so nice terms, why don't you look it up? That's not what he said. This was just somebody trying to make people angry. And the actual quote, I don't have it in front of me, but I'd like to read that if you've got it.
Yeah, I'm going to just read the one. All right. So one, he was actually speaking, I think it was Europe. I don't know if it was to the UN or European Union or whatever it was. He was addressing Europe, Russia, and it was on March 26th. There's a full transcript at the Washington Post. I'll throw a link in for that. Basically, you want me to sum it or you want me to play it? I mean, because it's a long speech.
Well, just the section that was in the section that we basically played unedited. I'll read it. Do you have my Facebook page up?
Yeah, we can read it. I'm just thinking
Okay.
we'll just I'll put it into to the show.
But those ideals have also been tested here in Europe and around the world. Those ideals have often been threatened by an older, more traditional view of power. This alternative vision argues that ordinary men and women are too small-minded to govern their own affairs. That order and progress can only come when individuals surrender their rights to an all-powerful sovereign. Often, this alternative vision roots itself in the notion that by virtue of race or faith or ethnicity, some are inherently superior to others, and that individual identity must be defined by us versus them, or that national greatness must flow not by what people stand for, but what they are against.
Now, that quote I can get behind. That was actually pretty presidential. And I'm not a fan of our current president. I don't like his policies, but that quote is that's a good quote. The fact that somebody was able to break it apart and twist it around and make it something different, has got to get us all opening our eyes.
So I guess I agree with you, and I think the moral of the story is that hurts us as a cause, whether it be GMO related or Obama doing this, saying this. When people put these clips in, it sends us, as in the people that are active. I'm not an activist. I'm not an ist anything. I'm not an environmentalist. I'm not an activist. I'm a concerned citizen.
I'm an ist.
Yeah.
I'm pissed.
All right. Well, that's a little different. I'm pissed too. And we've got to make sure that when we share this stuff, again, whether it's GMO or food related too, that we are checking our sources. And I know a lot of people talk about Snopes, and they're not good either. I mean, that's a liberalized agenda owned by a husband and wife that do Googling.
Yeah, that's
Snopes
is a 2-person team, and they're like 60-year-old washed up hippies, I believe.
Yeah, they're getting their news from Google, and that's how they're checking their facts. So I guess we just got to be a little bit more careful about what we share. And
exactly.
Nick and I do it as well. So we're not preaching to everybody not to share stuff. We're just saying, hey, guys, be careful of what you're doing, because it affects a lot of people, and the other side will take it and run with it and talk about how stupid we are.
Exactly. And it's just, remember to put your best foot forward. I know that we've got a few people that listen to the show that are on the left side, and I want to tell you guys right now, there are things that I agree with you. There's some things that I can get behind. But that being said, we're gonna have our differences. But as long as the facts hit the table, as long as we can have an intelligent conversation about these things without either side lying or being misinformed, then you actually have something. Progress can be made. So on that note, don't play dirty, because you're just gonna, if you play dirty, you're gonna get dirty too. You're gonna end up being the one that's got mud on their face.
Yeah, because the first thing I did when I played that clip, I was like, oh, you got me kidding me.
Oh, yeah.
And my first instinct was to share it. And luckily, I had a few minutes. That's the only reason I looked and didn't share it, was I had 5 minutes. I was drinking my cup of coffee, doing my morning routine, looking at Facebook, and I was like, oh, yeah.
Morning routine done?
Cup of coffee, watching Facebook, looking at my little posts.
Okay, just wondering. All right.
Not even going to go there. I can tell this is going to be a fun episode with a lot of editing. Thank you, Nick. So, we want to hit all sides. And again, we want to bring people together around something.
Exactly.
So
on that, there are some certain things that left and right of politics will always fight over. Guns, exactly. Well, right side politics, we like our guns, and most of the middle likes the guns, I would say. You've got that. You've got gay marriage. You've got abortion. You've got these very, very emotional, very tar-heeled subjects that politicians basically pit us against each other fighting over these things. Meanwhile, while we're fighting over these things, which are important and we care about, they're controlling us with three things. There are three things that make the world go round: food, fuel, and medicine.
Mm-hmm.
And with those three things, the people in power, they don't care about the rest of the deal. They don't care about gay marriage. They don't care about abortion because they've got no respect for human life anyway. So that's my view on it is, yes, we will have our differences, and yes, we are going to have questions of morality and how far government can stick their nose into moral issues. We're going to have situations that are similar to prohibition, but all of those, there's going to be a division, but we really need to get together on the subjects that really matter, that we have to maintain control, that we have to regain control, actually, because right now, our food and fuel is a runaway train, and we ain't at the helm of it.
Oh, no, we're not. And that's why we got to get people out there. We got to start doing this. We got to put the social politics aside.
Mm-hmm.
We have to realize that our money is running away.
Exactly.
We've got the dollar value is collapsing. Russia is pulling off the petrodollar. We've got bad things coming. We've got to learn how to prepare for this stuff. And whether that means the apocalypse is coming, whether it means zombies are out there, I'm not saying that. We've gone over this time and time again, but guys, start getting prepared. Gold and silver is great.
Mm-hmm.
I want to talk, actually, while we're on that subject, let me dive into, our show today is just going to be kind of us talking because we didn't have a show. So we forgot to plan one. How's that for honesty? So we're just going to talk a little bit about things that
we're going to teach you how to be prepared because we weren't prepared.
Something hit the news. They arrested, I don't know if you saw this, a guy in downtown Phoenix, and anybody in Phoenix probably knows this story, went in, beat up a priest.
Oh, yeah.
Shot another one, killed him.
Shot the other priest with the first priest's gun.
You got it. Because he couldn't pull the trigger because his finger was hurting. Well, it's something, I am wholeheartedly a Second Amendment guy.
Yes.
I think it's not only a good idea, but it should be a requirement for everybody to have a weapon and defend their family and their friends and their property. I think it's absolutely part of the reason that we have the Second Amendment, along with stopping tyranny. Where I'm not going to go down that road, but as far as the Second Amendment rights with having a gun, I don't see a problem with a priest having a gun as I do a carpenter having a gun or anybody else. But if you have a gun, and I know a lot of our listeners do, please get training on how to use it, because if you can't use it or you don't use it right or you're not trained with it, the worst thing that can happen is somebody will take that gun away and use it on you.
Yeah, there's nothing like, that's kind of like leaving a hammer in the bed of your truck. A thief's going to use that to break the window of your own truck.
Yeah.
Don't give them the tools to be the D-bag.
Right. So, yeah, you have a gun. Great. Please go get trained on it. Go out. And it doesn't mean go out to the desert once a year and blow through 10, 15 rounds through it. I'm talking about go to training. Mm-hmm. Get your concealed carry permit if one's available, to take the class, if not just to get the permit.
Yeah.
Go down to, how about we do our shout out right now, Scottsdale Gun Club.
Scottsdale Gun Club.
They're an amazing organization right down the street from the Situation Room. They will teach you, they have defensive classes, they have range time, they have all this stuff. You can rent automatic weapons, semi-automatic weapons, handguns, revolvers.
Oh, what are we doing later?
I know, anything
they got
you want.
Automatic weapons?
Oh yeah, it's a blast. They have an awesome simulator. Have you done the simulator up there?
I've not even been there.
Oh, yeah. I got a buddy over there. We'll have to have him on the show one of these days and talk about what they do.
Yes, let's do that.
Their simulator is phenomenal, and it teaches you some things. I've been lucky enough to go through some firearms training, and it's scary. One of the things they have you do is they have you set your gun loaded and ready down in front of you. Okay? So you set it down at the range on the little table in front of you, the little stand. And they put it 10 feet away. And then when the buzzer goes off, that target comes moving at you at the same speed a person would. And you have to pick up your gun and fire it. I'd say 90% of the people that do that the first time never get a shot off before the target is already at them.
Is that the 21 foot rule?
Something similar to that, yeah. They're trying to show you that people can move quick. Yeah. And if you're not prepared and you're not thinking about what you need to do, now this is a loaded gun sitting there ready for you to grab, pick up, and fire. And by the time most people pick it up and have it pointed, the target is already there. It's that fast. And it wakes you up because not only do you not, in normal situations, your gun isn't loaded sitting in front of you in arm's reach. It's in a pocket. It's in a holster. So you've got to start training about these things. Start going through, visualizing them, going out to the range and doing this and picking that gun up and drawing it and firing it. I used to go out, do 500 rounds a week when I was doing this stuff in the International Defensive Pistol Association and all that. I've long since given that up, but I still go out to the range. I still draw. In fact, weekly I sit in front of the mirror and draw my pistol. It sounds silly. No, I make my wife do it too. You're going to let this mind run away.
Listen, Don, this is not an appropriate time to talk about role play between you and your wife.
I keep a shotgun. I'm just going to ignore and keep going.
Okay.
I keep a shotgun in my house with dove and quail because I have kids, I have pets. I don't want anybody to get hurt. How long does it take you from the time somebody enters that house or where are they to go get the shotgun, and do you know if you can go get it in time or not? Where is the point of I'm not going to go get my gun because it's going to do more damage than it, cause more problems than it helps at this point. So you got to go through all that stuff in your head. This guy got killed. Well, actually his buddy got killed, I believe.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't prepared. He had a weapon. He didn't use it correctly. This guy's in the hospital, got beat up bad, hit with a tire iron on the head, was in ICU. But his friend is dead with his gun. That's got to tear you up inside.
Yeah, he didn't pull the trigger, but because of his poor planning and his poor training.
Yeah, he couldn't, I guess, because his finger was broken because he had gotten beat so bad. But then you don't get it in the first place. If you're not prepared to pick up that gun and utilize it right then and there, don't bother.
Yeah. You're better off just submitting to the robbery.
I guess, give them what you want. That's our first thing at home is if somebody's trying to break in or come out. One, how do you get out? How do you get yourself? Where do you get to? Mm-hmm. If there's somebody in the house when we get home, let's not go in. Let's turn around and drive away and, wait for me to get home. I'll go in.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You got to use some judgment.
Okay. Let's say you went and you bought a bunch of guns and you've got a job and your wife's got a job and you've got all these guns at the house. They're great. They're at the house though. You might have your carry with you. You might have a concealed carry, open carry, whatever. It's probably going to be a pistol. Don't be one of the douchebags who walks around with an AR-15. Sorry. If you're in a coffee shop with an AR-15, you are out of place. Anyway, you've got all these guns at your house. Let me tell you a story. Come home the other night. This is actually a few months ago. I come home and everything seems fine. I walk into the bedroom and I see my little 22 loader is laying on the ground. The 22, what is it? 1022.
Yeah, like quick loader.
Yeah. You crank it and I'm like, why is that on the ground? I look up at my gun case. The door's open. There's no guns in it. And there's like 10 guns. And I'm like, holy crap. Just immediately adrenaline pumping through me, pounding pulse in my ears. I draw my pistol, rack around, and I proceed to clear every room in the house. and can't hear anything. Nobody else is home. And I'm going through just checking every room, everywhere. And when I get to the last room, I was physically exhausted. I mean, we're talking a minute and a half maybe. And like it was physically exhausting, the amount of adrenaline going through me. And I'm just like, oh. So I just like flopped onto the guest bedroom and smashed my face into something metal that was underneath the covers of the bed. Like, what the crap? I pulled the covers back, and here my wife had laid all of the weapons in the guest bedroom because she could lock the door, and she couldn't lock our bedroom door. So all my guns are underneath of this bed, and I've got like the imprint of an AK-74 in my forehead from me hitting it. And I'm like, what the crap? So I called her up, and she's like, oh yeah, we had the nephews over and we didn't want them to go in where the guns were. I'm like, there's a lock on the freaking gun cabinet. It's just, what are you doing? And so, but that was her idea. And I was grateful that those guns were there. But at that time, I was like, okay, time to write down all the serial numbers of all of my weapons. And
hey, do you have them?
What?
If your guns got stolen, do you have all your serial numbers?
I wrote them down that night.
Because I didn't for a long time.
Yeah, and so you invest in a safe, but even safes are just going to slow down criminals.
Yeah.
Like
if somebody,
if somebody wants something bad enough, they'll get it.
Mm-hmm.
It just how slow you can make that process.
Yeah.
So responsibility. Don't get shot with your own weapons. Don't let your weapons slip away from you.
Yeah. Don't post weird things on Facebook that aren't factually backed up.
Exactly. Exactly.
So I've got another story for you.
All right.
So I was out, I owe my neighbor a couple of fish from the aquaponics system. So I was out looking at them. And this is just me bragging more than it is a story. I've got like a 5-pound tilapia in there. Oh. He's not a 1.5 pound table ready. I mean, this guy's probably a year now. He's like 5 freaking pounds. I think I've been overfeeding that guy. He's eating all the food and nobody else is getting it.
He's eating the babies.
Yeah, I did lose a lot of babies. I didn't see as many this year, nearly as many this year in the sump tank as normally I see. Normally by this point, we have at least 30 of them in there. I was thinking it was because the temperature was wonky here. And my water went from 70 to 85 pretty darn quick. And 80 is generally where they're going to breed. So I kind of had 80 for a day, on the way from 70 to 85. I brought it down. As you know, I was working on not cooling the greenhouse.
Yeah.
So I've now put some fans on and I'm just misting the ground.
Okay.
Just putting water down in the mornings around the grow beds and on the ground in the greenhouse and keeping that moist.
You're doing that by the rabbits too?
Yeah, we spray the ground and the rabbits and spray the rabbits themselves a little bit too, which I guess is okay.
As long as they can dry off. As long as
they dry off in 2 minutes. I mean,
yeah.
So when it's been real hot, we've gone out and just kind of sprayed out there a little bit, get them a little damp, spray the ground. They seem to like it. They don't like getting hit with the water, but they don't seem to mind the mist.
Yeah.
And, they're a little bit happier because we hit 110, I believe, out here in Phoenix the other day.
We hit it today. Well, that's what the truck said anyway.
Yeah, the rabbits are doing all right. I'm not breeding my rabbits right now.
No.
It's too hot because I don't have a whole bunch of air conditioning or coolers and stuff. I told you I bought a moving crate. Did you see it? Did you come by and see it?
No, I haven't been by to see that yet.
You got to come by and see that. We were thinking of using that for a rabbit hutch and throwing an evap on it. I found an evap cooler designed for a vehicle. It looks like an RV cooler, the RV air conditioners, but it's an evaporative. Oh. And it's all built in. It's like it's pretty cool. So I'm not sure how you feed it the water. I guess it's got a little tank in there. That you fill up, and it's designed. I was thinking that might work really well for the rabbits in a little hutch in the shade. They have to be in the shade in the hutch.
Yeah. There's and under a tree is nice too.
I think the breezeway with a crate with an evap kind of containing that might work well. So I'm thinking of cutting that thing in half and kind of designing it for that. So we might do that. We're doing a lot. We've got the goats should be having babies. My wife is headed out of town. This coming week, so
to get more goats.
No, She's not going to come home with any goats. We've had that.
That's what you think.
So that
She
ain't
asked
gonna
me
happen.
for money.
It ain't going to happen. And, so she's going to go out of town. So I figure next week we'll have the babies.
Nice.
You know, as soon as she leaves, she'll probably have them.
So that was sparked by you were going to tell a story about you owed your neighbor a couple of fish.
Yeah, I have a 5-pound tilapia.
Oh, that was
That was
lead in.
his story. Yeah.
By the way, I've got a 5-pound
I hadn't netted them,
tilapia.
and I don't eat my tilapia very often. On special occasions, when we have people come over, we eat them. I love tilapia, but I like using them for breeding, and I have customers. I mean, I run an aquaponics business, so I tend to sell my fish more than I do eat them and replenish. So
It's kind of me with the rabbits too.
yeah, I can sell some proven breeders for a lot more money, and I can go down to another guy, who raises tilapia and pick them up for a couple bucks a fish and eat those. I'll throw them in my tank and just eat those, after 2 or 3 days, rather than eating the ones I know are males or females. I've sexed them all. I know which ones are proven, so we don't kind of get rid of those.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's good. Just had this image of you out there sexing your fish. How do you do that?
I put a image up for you last time when you asked me that question,
Oh,
but I'll post it on the show notes. Is that what you're looking for?
yeah. It's 2 vent holes?
No, it's a different shape, kind of.
different shape. So it's the same.
And the easiest way is if you buy all of your tilapia at the same time and you've got like 3 of them that are like twice the size of the other ones, they're males, and the other ones are females. That's probably the easiest way I found to sex tilapia. Now, if they're all intermixed and they're different ages and all that, it's a lot harder. But if you...
A batch of the same age.
Yeah.
The biggest ones are the males?
Yeah. Yeah, the biggest ones are the males. If you see a baby swimming around in its mouth, it's a female. That's another way to tell.
Really?
Yeah, she'll spit out the babies, or the babies will come swimming out. They're mouth brooders. So they actually, the babies live in the mouth. So those are females. I've heard of people marking and tagging them. I've never done that, but some people will tag.
I don't know how long a Sharpie would hold up under the water.
Yeah, no, they'll actually, there's a couple of techniques, but you can notch like, some of the fins. You can notch them, or you can actually buy tags and you put a tag on it. Kind of like you would with a cow.
Yeah.
You can tag a fish.
That just seems excessive.
Yeah, well, I guess, people that are really into the breeding aspect of the tilapia, they might do that. Again, I don't do that. I like to design systems and put them in. Speaking of systems and other things that we're doing, we're going to have a screening, and we haven't gotten all the details yet, but I'm going to announce it anyway. We're going to have a screening of the movie called Food Patriots. I posted a link on the Facebook page. I'll put a link in the show notes on this show. Go take a look at foodpatriots.com. And I watched it the other day. Very good movie. It's very basic. It's just a movie about a family's journey from not having and changing 10%. That's really what this is about. Changing 10% of your habits. Buying organic, buying grass-fed, buying local raised, buying and having chickens in your backyard if you can, or quail, and changing your lifestyle 10%, and that 10% will make a difference across the board.
Huh.
It's not, when you ask people to do all this stuff and you say, you gotta go buy local, you gotta buy organic, you gotta get rid of this out of the, it's really tough to do. I mean, you know that.
Oh yeah. It's tough. Like, you and me both, we drive all day for our day jobs.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to pack a lunch every day.
Yeah.
And you can't always.
Probably not hard, but I guess both of us are too lazy to do it.
No. I mean, okay. Let me rephrase that. It's hard to eat healthy and pack a lunch every day because you have to have something that's.
Yeah, again, it's probably not hard. It's not a difficult thing to do. It's just you and I are lazy.
Damn
Let's
it.
be honest about it.
It's
Our
hard.
wives won't do it for us, so we don't do it.
It's hard to break the routine of saying, "I'll just go eat out."
Yeah, I mean, Jimmy
that's
John's.
what it is. Yeah, Jimmy John's. Look at that. 5 minutes away. Let's just
They
get a
deliver.
sandwich.
What are you talking about? 5 minutes away? They're freaky fast.
Oh gosh. The second plug of the week is Jimmy
Yeah.
John's.
Shout out.
Shout out. Yeah, we're not plugging people anymore.
Yeah, I told Matt down at
At Butt Out?
At Butt Out. I was like, you made me change that.
What was his reaction?
He says, it's really hard to make fun of Butt Out cigarettes since butt's already in our name. They're the e-cig vendors that I go to.
The butt of the joke.
Yes. No, he's a good guy. Yeah. Saw him today. He's like, you got a kick out of that.
That's funny.
So my point is, if you change 10%, it's a whole lot easier.
Yeah. And you don't have to just do this. I mean, I know that you met those people down in Portal that were like, hey, we're making $250,000 a year. Let's go ahead and sell everything and buy a farm.
Yeah.
And then boom.
Right.
Not everybody's got that in them.
Well, and that's what this movie is about, is how you can change just that. How you can find a community garden. There's community gardens all over the place. They're popping up more and more and more. And if there's not one in your area, start it.
There you go.
You know, and it takes a little bit of time, but you're changing lives. So community gardens are a good way. Anyway, what I was getting at was the Food Patriots movie.
Yes.
We're going to do a screening of the movie. We want to invite everybody to come. It's going to be free. We're going to ask for donations. Those donations go directly to an organization that I've supported for a long time, and I feel very strongly about it. It's called Gompers Habilitation Center. Again, this is only on the podcast. We haven't put a bunch of stuff up about it yet. But we're going to try and raise some funds for them. And I do IT work, and I work down there, and I walk by their little garden pretty much every time I'm there. And it's a nice little garden, and I'm very disappointed seeing it as a nice little garden, and it's not more than it could be a lot more. And gardening, I know, touches people's lives with disabilities. It gives them something to do. Something that you and I might take for granted, like going and touching the soil, can be difficult for people. And this teaches skills. Mm-hmm. It teaches them how to plant seeds. It teaches them how to nurture things. It gets people back to nature, which can be very calming. So it's got a lot of psychological effects. So all of this stuff, we're going to raise some funds to help improve that garden.
Now, what kind of people do Gompers help? Is there
all sorts across the range? I'm not very knowledgeable on mental handicaps or physical handicaps, but you have people that have trouble maybe on a autism spectrum, Down syndrome.
So it's mostly mental handicaps.
Yeah, there's people in wheelchairs.
They cross into the physical a little bit.
Yeah, there's people all the way down. They have rooms where they have to, the feeding, people can't feed themselves.
Okay.
They have seniors. They have a school there as well. So, and what they do is they habilitate people. They don't rehabilitate them. They habilitate people. And this is why I love this organization. They take people that don't feel they have a place in society, and they help teach them skills throughout the school, and then they go into a work program, and they might get a job at Safeway or Fry's as a courtesy clerk, bagging your groceries, bringing in carts, greeting people. So it might be something that seems like a mundane task, but to them, that's what they can do, and they're contributing to society, and they're getting a paycheck, and it changes people's lives. It's awesome. And I want to make sure that gardening stays there because it's a nonprofit. And it's tough for them on budgeting.
Oh, yeah.
To do things like go buy seeds or go buy soil. They just don't have the budget for that when they're tight on budgeting for everything. Spending on some things that it should be spent on isn't what it used to be, and people don't contribute what they used to. Whatever the reason, I want to help this garden program.
Yeah.
Nick wants to help the garden program. We see an opportunity to go do a screening on a movie. And that could change some people's lives. It could change our community. That could introduce them to new things. So I think we're going to do that.
Yeah, I think that it'll be great. We're going to get some education out there for you folks. So
yeah,
Gompers that's on like 27th and
Bethany Home, Glendale.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think we're going to have the screening
North
on
Central.
site. North Central. We'll get a post up when, and we'll be talking about this a lot more. But probably toward the end of August, we're going to do this. Nick and I are going to give a small class on integration and maybe how to get started, and if we can, maybe bring some quail in or rabbit in, so you guys can kind of see what we're about and what we're doing. And then probably have somebody from Gompers come up for 10 or 15 minutes, talk about what they're doing. And we're going to do a preview of this movie, Food Patriots. So we're still finalizing everything.
Screening, right? Not a
preview. Yeah, screening. Okay. Whatever they call it. We're going to play the movie for everybody.
There we go.
So we're going to raise some funds for a good cause. And
if we talked about the rabbit-powered flamethrower yet?
Go ahead, talk about it.
Okay. So anybody who knows me knows that I am a major pyro. When I was about 7, I was taking apart shotgun shells to get the gunpowder out of it. My stepdad put an end to that. He said that was too expensive, and so he said under his supervision we could use gunpowder bought at the store.
You know what I used?
What?
Model rocket engines.
Model rocket engines was nice too, but they were also expensive, and they were harder to cut into.
But my mom would buy them because I was in the rocket club.
Oh, gosh. See, I was the one that was buying the model rocket engines at the point when we started making them. And so about 12 to 15 in that range, I had gotten my hands on the actual components of gunpowder, and we started making that. And then as I got older, anyway, bottom line, I've been playing with fire and fuel since forever. And it's always fascinated me, and as I was starting to turn 18, I realized that I should probably stop doing some of the shenanigans that I was doing because, juvie wasn't an option anymore. Anyway, so I started playing around with alternative fuels and, working on engines and stuff, and I ride motorcycles, whatever. But fuel has always been something I'm interested in, and I was starting to play around with, actually when my wife and I were dating, I was starting to play around with granulated fuels. Instead of using a liquid or a gaseous fuel, I was thinking more along the lines of a solid fuel. And we made rocket fuel, some potassium nitrate, sugar, and Carel syrup mixed together would give a nice slow burning rocket fuel. It would burn hot long. So as we were playing with the sugar and atomizing it or releasing it into the air so that it had plenty of oxygen around it, it gave me the idea that pretty much anything made out of hydrocarbons, any sort of biological material that could be ground up can essentially sustain a flame. So that being said, there was a certain TV show that was vetting me to come on, and in order to be more entertaining, they asked if I could weaponize some of my alternative fuels. So with the motivation of this certain TV show, we took basically a propane torch that was actually hooked up to harvested methane and ground up rabbit manure to a fine powder that was similar in consistency to flour, and hooked it up to a shop vac in reverse. So the shop vac was actually blowing, and set up a hopper so that I could pour the flour or the rabbit poop into the tube and have it shoot through the methane flame. And the result was about a 30-foot fireball that would blast for about 15 to 30 seconds off of 1.5 pounds of rabbit manure. So pretty cool stuff. And then you could also use sugar, coffee creamer, flour, any of those things would work. But it was pretty impressive that I successfully weaponized rabbit poop.
Well, that's the whole goal of growing your own food, is to blow stuff up, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
You learn ways when you have an access of something, you have to figure out something to do with it. So
that's right. I mean, I was making methane with mine, playing with gasification and all that stuff, but 400 pounds a day, it's a lot of poopy.
Yeah. So when Nick was over at my house and doing some filming for whatever is upcoming, he left a big 50-gallon drum, 55-gallon drum in my backyard filled with rabbit poop and water.
and I still haven't been out
and
there
put
yet.
Another tub on it. And lo and behold, it's been raising a little bit. I capped the little hose the other day. Yeah. And I kind of tied the hose. So I crimped it and tied it because I didn't have anything to put on there. So anyway, it rose up. I added more water and it rose up. And it's really cool because if you go out there with a lighter and you push down on the thing, you get a big flame flying up. So
really?
It works.
Well, there you go. Well,
and now that it's hit 110 in Arizona, it's working quick.
Oh, I bet. Yeah. Cause I think, compost your highest production happens at just under 160.
Yeah.
So if you painted that black, it would probably happen a lot faster.
Oh, I would imagine. So
I wonder
we're
what that internal temperature is. We didn't put a temperature probe in it.
I can. I've got a little laser dealie that I can shoot right inside of there and see what the temp is.
Yeah, but that won't get the center.
Well, if I take, not inside, but if I take the top off, I can get a pretty good idea. Or put a temperature probe down there. I'm not using the meat thermometer from the kitchen.
Come on. It'll wash off.
Yeah, I added more water in there and I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. And I threw the little little lighter on there. I have my little butane torch. Nice. I put that up and yeah, it lit up.
And you still have eyebrows.
Yeah, it wasn't that intense that it didn't throw a 10-foot flame or anything. If you guys are thinking about creating your own methane, it is really easy. I mean, that's really all it comes down to. And I think there's a lot more efficient ways to do it.
Oh yeah, this was just a hodgepodge deal to show that it can be done.
Yeah.
Basically a 55-gallon drum, 50-50 manure to water ratio. You can that basically allows a lot of water for the bacteria to use. If it's too dry, they don't grow as fast. If it's too wet, they don't have enough to eat.
Right.
So that will give you a good starter colony. Anyway, you put a 30-gallon tub over top of that and push it down over the poop and water so that everything on the inside of the 30-gallon when the methane's produced, it will bubble up to the top.
Right.
And raise the 30-gallon tub out of the 55-gallon drum.
And basically it raises it with methane.
Yes. And so there should be no oxygen in there because if you've got oxygen and fuel together, congratulations, you've got a bomb.
Yeah. So what you can do is you can hook a compressor up and actually fill up an LP tank with it.
That's right.
Utilize it.
Specialized compressor, of course. I was using one that had a maximum capacity of 120 PSI, which isn't a whole lot of range, if you will.
Right.
But there are these compressors that fill up paintball gun canisters.
Yeah.
And, what do you call them? The air gun stuff that, over at Shoot Right, they've got them.
Right.
And it's basically a slow compressor that goes up to 3,500 PSI.
Well, what does an LP tank hold normally? As far as PSI.
Gosh, it's high. I mean, it's over 1,200 PSI.
That's what, when you get it filled up, that's what it's at.
And then it regulates from there.
Wow.
But,
that's pretty intense.
Oh,
I didn't
yeah.
know it was that high.
Oh, yeah. I think the ones that they wrap in carbon fiber, the tanks they wrap in carbon fiber and put in cars are higher yet.
Yeah.
So you're driving a bomb. It's awesome. But what's cool is as long as there's no oxygen present, there's nothing that fuel can do.
Well, and I had taught my kids, we were out messing with lighting a campfire, or the fire pit.
Uh-huh.
So we took a bowl and I was showing them, they kept saying, I was trying to explain to them that fuel in itself is not flammable.
That's right.
It's the fumes that are going to cause the problem. So I was able to show them putting out a match in gasoline. So, and you can actually put a match out in gasoline. So you just can't have any fumes. So.
Yeah, it's gotta be, yeah.
It's not easy to do, but you can do it.
Well, one of my favorite experiments.
Now, by the way, if you're going to do that, be very careful.
Yeah, if it's 110
Don't let
degrees.
your kids do it.
Here you go, kids. Go ahead and put out that campfire with this bottle of gasoline.
Yeah.
No, actually, one of my first experiences with atomizing fuel in cold temperatures, we had a fire pit that had burned all through the night and there was hot coals in there in the morning. And in order to start it up, I just poured gasoline on it and there was no spark. It was just hot coals.
Without open flame, you can. Yeah.
But they were hot enough that they boiled the gasoline.
Right.
So I'm standing there and like this fog was coming out of the fire pit and rolling past my feet.
Oh boy.
I'm like, what's going on here? I mean, we were like 14 looking at this and I'd poured like maybe half a gallon into the fire pit.
That's a lot of gasoline.
It is. Well, it's not unless it atomizes.
Yeah.
And so,
well, what do you think it's doing with the fog rolling?
Exactly. So this fog is coming and my buddy's like, oh no, you got to throw a match in it. Yeah. Oh my gosh. we were running and screaming like little girls.
Oh yeah.
And I had pants on, but they later became shorts that day because the bottoms were so burned. And I had, it felt like a sunburn on my legs from where it had hit.
Nice.
No hair left. No hair whatsoever. That was scary. So with that memory in mind, I put gasoline through a heating element, to see what I could do with it. And with the experiments on a little, the construction 5.5 horse Honda engine, running what do you call it? An air compressor.
Mm-hmm.
I was able to increase fuel economy about 30% by boiling the gasoline. Now, granted, I wasn't using the engine's heat to do that. Right. I was using the external heat source, but I figured you could hook up, the exhaust to it easy enough. But basically,
a little alternator running the heating element.
Yeah, but even then would create more drag than, I mean, you already have heat coming out of the engine. You could harness that heat without spending any of the power.
Yeah, I don't know if it's hot enough.
Oh, I guarantee it is. If it's hot enough to burn your hand, gasoline, alcohol boils at 170 degrees. Gasoline is like 150 around there. There's some nerd out there. Come on, you can correct me. I say that in the most loving way. I love nerds. You guys are awesome. I am one of you.
Yes.
Anyway, so playing around with this, I'm boiling the gasoline and creating similar effects. And then I tried something, new. I tried putting a vacuum on it, a slight draw, and realized that it would create much more, atomized fuel, and it would be much cooler because it's got a vacuum on it, so it boils at a lower temperature. And then I took the heating element out away and went to ultrasonic pulsation. And with that, I actually got 60% higher fuel economy than the original carburetor.
Nice.
Anyway, that was all while construction was good, and pretty soon, construction went away in like 2008, and I had to find another job, and now I'm repairing copy machines and selling rabbits instead of, running a biodiesel refinery and other things.
Well,
anyway.
Apparently aquaponics is growing because, you know, those little value coupon dealy things?
The value coupons.
Yeah. You know, the value packs? The Val packs that you get in the mail for like the $1 off things. And it's a Val pack. You don't know what a Val pack is?
I don't know
it's got coupons in it.
Is that,
we got a coupon for coming to see an aquaponics system and 10% off.
Really?
Yeah, which I was kind of surprised at. So when you guys are out looking for aquaponics people, come visit my website and give me a call. I'll help you out.
Yeah, exactly.
Refer you to the best around.
Exactly. That's funny.
So, Nick, that would, be careful playing around with fire, I guess, is the thing. I think the whole point of it, though, is to have fun with this stuff.
Yeah.
If you guys like blowing stuff up, there's a lot you can do with rabbit poop. There's a lot you can do to, all these.
If you've got the patience, this is what people don't realize. Everything that's in the store came from somewhere.
That's right.
You know, if you're going and buying charcoal, well, where did the charcoal come from? Well, it came from a semi-gasification device that would release the hydrocarbons, so all that you're left with is a large amount of coal, a large amount of carbon and a little bit of fuel, and that will create your embers almost immediately.
Right.
So that's one component of gunpowder. So all you have to do is heat up biomass.
That's Nick at hostlehair.com.
If you heat up biomass and release all the hydrocarbons, you're left with carbon. Now, saltpeter. Do you know how to make it?
No.
You don't know how to make saltpeter? I thought everybody did. No. Oh, let me explain.
Make it quick because we got like 2 minutes.
Leach fields. Basically, you add horse urine to manure, and the white crystals that come out the bottom of the leach field.
Is this really what we need to be teaching people how to do?
For
Nick at hostlehair.com.
No, okay, yeah. Saltpeter has other uses. It's a fertilizer. Right. It will really super increase the nitrogen in your soil. It also happens to be an oxidizer. So if all of a sudden gunpowder and bullets are illegal, you need to be able to know how to make stuff.
Oh, I agree.
And then sulfur, you can find sulfur in pretty much anything that's got sulfur in it.
So there's uses for all this stuff. I mean,
oh yeah.
It's amazing what you can do out there. So raising your own livestock, growing your own food, using what's left over
Exactly.
Let's have fun.
Exactly. On that note, kids, try not to blow yourselves up, and we'll hear from you. You'll hear from us next week.
Sounds good.
As long as your ears aren't ringing from the explosions.
Exactly. And all right, I got to go through the whole spiel here. All right, you can find us on Twitter at WeGrowOurs.com, Facebook.com/WeGrowOurs, and we've got a new feature on the website. It says send voicemail. So go to WeGrowOurs.com. Right on the right-hand side, you'll see a little button. Click it. It says send voicemail. Send your questions to us. On Facebook, you can do the same thing. There's a tab that says send voicemail or leave a message. Click on that. You can record right off of your computer, your iPhone, your iPad, your Android device. Whatever you want to do, it leaves us feedback. We can get you on the show asking the questions because you guys are great at emailing us and filling out the form and doing all that fun stuff. I want to hear the questions. I want to put them on the show.
Don wants to hear your heavy breathing.
That's right. So we've got some good shows coming up. Be sure and check back. We've got some good shows. We're going to talk more about self-defense. We're going to talk more about community gardens. We're going to talk more about food patriots, and we're going to get into everything else. And send us what you guys want to hear. Humanure was one of the suggestions. Humanure. Yeah. Yeah. I can't find an expert in that, so I haven't done it yet. So if you guys know any experts in humanure, that's fine. We're going to have a show on essential oils and healing with that. We're going to have a show on herbal and herbal medicines and what you can grow in your gardens. We're going to talk about
good herb, man.
We're going to talk about what you can do to grow besides fodder to feed your rabbits, your chickens, your ducks, your goats, all that fun stuff. So keep an eye out, WeGrowOurs.com, and join us next week.
Thanks, guys.